Up to that?
Sound 37.
However you tell us the story, just the complete story of Wallace.
Well, I think that's the best way to do it.
You will.
I was, whenever you're ready,
Right now.
I was very well acquainted with Henry Wallace. His father was Secretary of Agriculture way back yonder in the 90s and was a good one. Henry Wallace was appointed Secretary of Agriculture by President Roosevelt, and he got ready and put into effect the greatest farm program that the country ever had. I liked him very, very much. And then President Roosevelt decided that he wanted him to be Vice President of the United States. So he called him in and made him Vice President on the Democratic ticket, and he was elected Vice President along with President Roosevelt. And of course, he'd never had any executive experience outside the experience that he had as Secretary of Agriculture, which is an entirely different thing from Vice President of the United States, who presides over the Senate and who is supposed to be the successor to the President of the United States. Well, as Vice President, he didn't make any very great maneuver that would leave him historically in the picture of the government of the United States. But he was, as Secretary of Agriculture, he was the great one in my opinion. I was very fond of him and I liked him very much. And then he was nominated for president and ran against me for President of the United States. And of course he didn't get to first base on it. And it was a very great disappointment to him. Well, a short time before I left the White House, I decided to have all the members of the cabinet who had been there during the 8 years that I had been in the White House, that I'd have a dinner for them. And I invited them all. And I invited Henry Wallace and Mrs. Wallace. Mrs. Wallace is a very great friend of Mrs. Truman's. And they, I think, enjoyed the dinner as much as anybody that came to that program which we put on for the benefit of all those who had been in the government while I was President of the United States. I liked him very much. And whatever in the world got into him to run and try to beat the best friend he ever had in the government of the United States, I'll never know, but it doesn't make any difference because everything was worked out at that dinner that we gave for all the members of the cabinet who had been there when I was there. And Henry Wallace was one of those who got a reception that was equal to anyone who was there. And he got that reception from Mrs. Truman and myself. And I like him. I always have liked him. He's an able, good man, and that's about the best thing you can say about him. But as a politician, well, he's like every other politician that starts at the top. They never know what to do. You have to know how to pull a precinct before you can be a good politician in this government of ours.
Sir, could you tell us about Wallace's political ideals?
Well, Wallace was supposed to be a Democratic liberal. I guess he was, but his liberality and mine didn't jibe, and that's all there was to that.
And what about his attitude towards our handling of Russia?
I don't know. I never talked with him about that because I didn't want to. I don't think we could have agreed at all on that any more than we could about his ideals and politics in the United States government. And so I never did talk to him on that subject.
End stick, sound 38.